Chronic overthinking. Your brain doesn't have an off switch. A simple decision takes others 30 seconds. It takes you 3 hours. You've mapped out every possible outcome, the outcomes of those outcomes, and the outcomes of those. You're not being dramatic. Your brain is processing more variables than most people even see. This is the cost of high intelligence. The same power that solves complex problems also runs constantly on problems that don't need solving. You replay conversations from 5 years ago. You predict conflicts that never happen. You prepare for scenarios with a 0.1% chance of happening. Meanwhile, the present moment passes by, unlived. Studies show people with higher IQs ruminate more. The thing that makes you smart also makes you a prisoner of your own thoughts. You can't turn it off. Your brain doesn't know how to rest. Every quiet moment fills with thoughts, whether you want it to or not. Social isolation. You've felt alone in crowded rooms your entire life, not because you hate people, because connection requires overlap. And overlap is hard when your mind works differently than 95% of people. Conversations that excite others bore you. Topics you find fascinating get blank stares. You learn to nod along, pretend you're engaged, but internally you're somewhere else. Intelligence follows a bell curve. Most people cluster in the middle. The further you sit from center, the fewer people think like you. This isn't arrogance, it's statistics. Finding someone who actually understands how your brain works gets rarer the smarter you are. So you have two choices. Dumb yourself down to fit in. It feels like suffocating. Or stay authentic and accept that deep connection will be rare. Neither option feels like winning. Existential depression. You figured out the meaninglessness problem early. While other kids worried about homework, you stared at the ceiling, wondering what the point was. This isn't teenage angst. It doesn't fade. It's a permanent feature of a brain that can't stop asking questions that have no good answers. Death, suffering, injustice, the randomness of existence. Most people push these thoughts away. Get on with their day. Your brain won't let you. It keeps circling back, poking at the void, demanding answers that don't exist. The same intelligence that lets you understand complex systems also forces you to confront uncomfortable truths others successfully ignore. You see through the distractions people use to avoid thinking about death and meaning. There's nowhere to hide from your own awareness. Impossible standards. Nothing you do is ever good enough. Not because you lack accomplishments, because your brain always sees a better version of what you made. You finish a project, immediately notice every flaw. You achieve a goal, instantly move the target further away. The satisfaction others feel from finishing something. You rarely experience that, because finishing isn't the standard. Perfection is. And perfection doesn't exist. This trap is cruel because it's self-generated. Nobody holds you to these standards but you. External praise doesn't help. You know they can't see what you see. They're impressed. You're fixated on the gap between what it is and what it could have been. High intelligence means seeing your own imperfections in high resolution. You're comparing your work to an ideal that only exists in your imagination, and reality loses every time. Constant boredom. Your brain needs a certain level of stimulation to feel engaged. Below that, everything feels unbearably slow. Meetings where the point could be made in 2 minutes, but takes an hour. Conversations that circle the same obvious point repeatedly. Tasks that should be challenging, but aren't. Because you figured out the pattern already. Most people operate comfortably at levels that put you to sleep. What feels challenging to them feels like standing still to you. This creates problems at work, in school, in relationships. You finish too fast. You lose interest before others even start. You need something new constantly, because the old thing stopped being interesting the moment you understood it. Boredom isn't just unpleasant for you. It's painful. Your brain rebels against weak input like a starving body rebels against no food. The need for stimulation drives you to change jobs, abandon projects, chase complexity. Others see instability. You're just trying to stay awake. Analysis paralysis. You understand too many angles to move forward. Every choice branches into consequences. You can see down each branch further than most people think to look. This should help. Instead, it freezes you. The person with less information decides easily. They don't know what they don't know. You know all of it. Every risk, every trade-off, every way this could go wrong. The weight becomes impossible to carry. Small decisions take forever. You treat them like big ones. Big decisions become terrifying. The paths multiply into infinity. Meanwhile, less intelligent people who can't see half the variables make choices confidently. Move on with their lives. They're not smarter. They're just unaware of the complexity. Ignorance becomes an advantage. Your awareness becomes an anchor. Emotional intensity. You don't just think deeply. You feel deeply. Emotions hit harder, last longer, run more complex than what others experience. A sad movie doesn't just make you tear up. It sends you into a spiral about death and loss for days. An injustice doesn't just frustrate you. It consumes you. This intensity isn't separate from your intelligence. It's part of the same package. The same system that processes information thoroughly also processes emotions thoroughly. You can't have one without the other. This means joy is more joyful, but pain is also more painful. You experience life at higher volume than people around you. What seems like overreacting to them is just your system responding to input that hit harder than they'll ever understand. Being misunderstood. You've learned to translate your thoughts into simpler language, because when you speak naturally, people look at you like you're speaking another language. The connections you make, the references you use, the way you jump between ideas, none of it lands the way it does in your head, so you edit constantly. You slow down. You explain things you thought were obvious, and even then, people miss the point, or misinterpret what you meant. The exhausting part isn't being misunderstood occasionally. It's being misunderstood as default. You say something precise, people hear something different. You make a nuanced point, people flatten it into something simple. You share an idea you're excited about. Watch interest drain from their faces, because the thing that excited you doesn't register to them. Over time, you learn to keep real thoughts private. Sharing them costs more energy than it returns. Relationship struggles. Finding a partner is hard when you need intellectual compatibility. Physical attraction isn't enough. Shared interests aren't enough. You need someone who can keep up with your mind, challenge your thinking, engage with topics that matter to you. That shrinks the dating pool dramatically. And even when you find someone promising, the relationship faces unique pressure. You notice patterns others miss. You remember details from fights they forgot they said. You analyze relationship dynamics with the same intensity you apply to everything, which can feel like surveillance to someone not wired the same way. High IQ people often report less satisfaction in relationships. Part is difficulty finding compatible partners. Part is the tendency to overthink problems instead of just experiencing connection. Your brain can become an obstacle to the intimacy you actually want. Pressure to achieve. You've been labeled gifted since childhood. Teachers expected great things. Parents bragged about your potential. The message was clear. With a brain like yours, success is inevitable. Anything less is failure. This pressure doesn't fade. It becomes an internal voice that refuses to accept ordinary outcomes. Taking a simple job isn't allowed. Resting isn't allowed. Being average at anything isn't allowed. Your intelligence became a cage of expectations you never agreed to. Can't escape. The cruelest part is when you do achieve and still feel like you're underperforming. You know your capabilities. You see what you should be able to accomplish. Any gap between potential and reality feels like waste, like you're betraying the gift you were given. Meanwhile, people with modest abilities feel proud of accomplishments that wouldn't even register to you. They're allowed to be satisfied. You're not. Hiding your intelligence. You've learned to play dumb, because showing your real abilities creates more problems than it solves. People become defensive. They assume you think you're better than them. They exclude you because your presence makes them feel small. So you hold back. You ask questions you already know the answers to. You pretend to struggle with obvious things. You let others explain what you understood immediately. This performance is exhausting, but it's socially necessary. People dislike those who stand out intellectually. They interpret your competence as arrogance. Even when you've said nothing arrogant, they project superiority onto you. Regardless of how humble you try to be, the safest strategy becomes invisibility. Hide what you can do. Blend in. Don't make others feel threatened by the comparison they'll make. Impatience with others. Your brain moves fast. You reach conclusions quickly, see solutions immediately, process at a pace others can't match. This becomes a problem when you work with people who move slower. Meetings feel endless. You understood the point in 2 minutes. Now you're waiting for everyone else to catch up. Collaborations frustrate you. Others need more explanation, more time, more repetition. You're not trying to be arrogant. You're genuinely struggling to slow down. The impatience leaks out, a flash of irritation when someone asks an obvious question, a sigh when explanations drag. People notice, even when you think you're hiding it. They see you're frustrated with the pace. They resent you for it. Your impatience creates the exact social friction you were trying to avoid. Difficulty finding peers. You can have friends, but peers, people operating at your level who can push you intellectually, those are almost impossible to find. Most circles don't include anyone who challenges you. You're always the smartest person in the room. Sounds flattering? Until you realize what it means. No one to learn from. No one who makes you sharper. No one who understands your thoughts without heavy translation. This creates a specific loneliness. You can be surrounded by people who like you, still feel intellectually alone. Conversations stay surface level because depth requires matching capacity. You end up seeking stimulation from books, research, solitary pursuits, because living humans around you don't provide it. It's not their fault. The mismatch is just structural. Self-awareness curse. You see yourself too clearly. Every flaw, every inconsistency, every gap between who you are and who you want to be. Others have mild self-delusion. They ignore weaknesses, overestimate abilities, move through life with unearned confidence. You can't. Your brain won't let you believe comfortable lies about yourself. This sounds like an advantage. Self-awareness helps you improve, except there's a point where it becomes paralyzing. You know exactly why you failed. You understand precisely what's wrong with you, but knowing and fixing are different things. The knowledge without the solution just becomes more pain. You're watching yourself struggle from outside, fully aware of the problem, unable to make it stop. Most people have gaps between perception and reality. Your gap is smaller, but that accuracy isn't a gift. It's a mirror you can't stop looking into, showing you things you'd rather not see. So which of these is the one nobody warned you about? Drop it in the comments and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.